Hello, how are we doing today? So, welcome to my stream, everybody. Nice to have you here today. And so, I don't know if you know me. I am Resiale, and I'm trying to go pro in Valorant, and I'm currently, it's my second day playing. I played yesterday for the first time, and I do have 2,000 hours in CSGO, so my aim is pretty good, but I have zero map knowledge. I don't know how to pick angles, and basically I'm a noob in Valorant, but that doesn't stop me from the dream to become pro. And so today is my second day of training, and we will be training very specifically from the Academy of Skillcapped. Skillcapped is a website where you can find training insights or training tutorials rather about Valorant, and that's what we're doing today. We're going to watch some tutorials. Let me know in the comments how are you doing today, and yeah, welcome to my stream. So, like I said, this is the Skillcapped website, and we are, oh, I'm lost. We are watching some videos today, basically. Yeah, so. Okay, I see. I should probably move my, oh, that was wrong. I should probably move my browser source so that you can see the website. It's like Skillcapped. That's how it's spelled. Okay, and we are watching some videos today. Namely, we are going to start with the Valorant 101, and this is the first video, Introduction to Academy. Yeah, I don't know if it's just a time waste. It could be. Yeah. Nice, that's exactly what you are trying to accomplish here. In CSGO, crosshair placement is very important, so I can assume that in Valorant it's the same. So I'm pretty much looking forward to what we are gonna be taught in these courses. Okay, so just figure out that you don't hear the video sound. Let me quickly check that. Okay. Okay, I still have Valorant on, so that's why you hear that music in the background. Let me quickly check that the music is actually off. Oh, I don't... Wow. I don't have a mouse in Valorant, that's weird. Okay, I think I need to simply stop Valorant. I generally don't see my mouse, which is super weird. Wow, that seems to be a bug to me. That was a super weird Valorant bug. Okay. Let me see what you can actually hear. Okay, there's like this music playing, but it's a bit too loud. Perfect. I hope that this is royalty-free music, otherwise I have a problem. Okay.
Manage hiding in corners, how to play off angles, and what situations you should abuse those. And then this is one of my favorite videos in the course, how to hold angles without dying, because I think that a lot of players will play common angles and it'll result in them getting killed. So it makes you question, what do professional players do when these top tier players are never missing shots? How do they deal with holding angles? And we go over all of that in that video. Moving over towards peeking, we talk about just like each different type of peek that you can use in your games and how to apply them. And then we go through just like different examples of in-game when people are maybe peeking.
Nice. What I do know from CSGO is that you do have to take your angles very carefully, because like the other player could see you before you see them from time to time. So in short peeking or wide peeking, yeah, so definitely looking forward for this tutorial.
Things incorrectly. Moving on, we cover aim training, we cover aim labs, Kovacs, using the range, using deathmatch, and
wow, I am not sure if I do want to train outside of Valorant in like this aim trainers, because I'm not sure if that has such a huge impact on my aim. I mean, it's already pretty great, so just by playing I think I will improve enough to have like a decent aim, but we will see.
How you can improve your aim as a player. I think this is a phenomenal course. Really enjoyed making this one. Moving over to recoil control, we talk about the different types of recoil.
Yeah, I heard about recoil, that it's a bit random. Like in CSGO you have like this super scientific recoil where you can train yourself to hit every shot perfectly, but in Rocket League, I mean in Valorant, it seems different.
Patterns, tap firing, spraying, bursting, all of these sorts of different things, and how you can kind of learn to control your recoil in a game where the recoil patterns are generally random. There is really no pattern for the most part, and we talk about just how to get around that and how to manage that. Moving over to agent abilities, this is just explaining abilities within the game. Maybe you're coming into this game and you don't really know exactly what the different types of abilities do. I think that's something that's helpful for players to realize, is that there's only so many different types of abilities, right? There's different flashes, but there's a couple of different ones, but they all do the same thing. They all blind the enemy players and force them off angles, right? Same thing with smokes, same thing with mollies, slows, grenades, stuff like that. That's all area of effect abilities. It's nothing too crazy, right? Movement, recon abilities, tripwires, we break them all down simply for you guys so you can understand them, and then we move on to selecting your agent, and we give some tips on how you might choose the agent that you want to play. And we finish off this course by just going over how you would go about learning to play any of these specific agents over here on the website. So yeah, we go through a lot of these videos. I really hope that you guys enjoyed these courses. We spent a lot of time making them, and yeah, have a wonderful day, guys.
Nice. So that's what we're going to do until 9, I believe. We are just watching these videos. Let me see the basics. I'm not sure if I need the basics, because I pretty much am sure that I know how to win, what the basics in the game are. I mean, it's the basics of basically first person shooter probably, so I'm not gonna watch this. You can do that if you want, and how to win. I do understand how to win. So let's go to the guns.
Hey guys, welcome back to Skillcapped. Today we're going over each of these weapons in the game, what you should be doing with them, their strengths, weaknesses, recoil, some of them. Yeah, so let's get to it. So to start, the classic. This is a free weapon. You get it every round. It's not super inaccurate from long range, but it's not the most accurate weapon in the game. It has two fire modes. It has the left click that I just showed you, and then up close you have the right click. When you right click with this weapon, it's sort of like a shotgun. But be careful not to spam it, is because the more you spam it, the more inaccurate it gets and the more useless it is. So just depending on the range of your opponent, that's whether or not you want to do a left or right click, you know? Yeah, it's a pretty decent weapon. If you're out of ammo, pull it out. You probably don't want to reload in some situations, sort of like in other video games.
Nice, so I didn't know about this shotgun feature. I was using the classic and yesterday in my games, but that shotgun feature, that's nice.
Shorty. This is pretty self-explanatory. It is a shorty. It is a short shotgun. You want to play very, very close with this weapon. It's strong up close. Pretty strong up close. Not much to say about it. It's pretty cheap, only $150. Next is a Frenzy. The Frenzy, I'm pretty sure, does the same amount of damage as the classic. Very, very similar. Not exactly the same, but like very slightly under longer ranges than the classic. But it's like a little what's that gun called? Like a Tech 9, I guess. I think they use it in CS. Okay, but regardless, it's a little mini machine gun. Let me do infinite ammo off so you guys can see. You know, at close range, this gun's really effective. On the move, it's really effective. Like if you're running by somebody, you're doing a little drive-by. Like if somebody you know is in this corner, you could like mow them down, sort of. So yeah, this gun's pretty cheap, $450. Depending on what you want to do in a certain round, that really dictates what kind of gun you want to buy. If you're going to play close quarters, like if you're playing Jett, if you haven't seen her ability, she dashes into people's faces, kind of. You probably want to buy like a Frenzy. If you're going to like do something like peek tiles, a Ghost might be, or peek from Catwalk. Let me drop these barriers so you can see. If you're going to peek this angle, a Ghost might be better, or maybe a Sheriff, right? But let's talk about the Ghost first. So the Ghost is a very accurate pistol. From long range, it does a decent amount of damage. Those are the stats to the right: 105 headshot damage and 30 body. So obviously rewards those head taps. Not 100% accurate, but it's pretty accurate. That'll usually be a headshot. And a pistol round, this is really good. If you plan on taking a longer range duel, you could strafe around with it a lot, do a lot of damage. It's a decent gun, 500 credits, only 50 more than the Frenzy. Pretty popular choice on pistol round. Yeah, not bad. Sheriff. Now this, my friends, is probably one of the best guns in the game for its price range. For 800 credits, you can one-tap headshot somebody from close to medium range, but at far range, it only does 145 damage. But the Sheriff is really good for only 800 credits. You'll see a lot of pro players use this gun a lot because, well, they're pros and they can hit heads pretty easily. So one shot can literally determine the outcome of a round. Like, let's say you kill a guy here, and then your team swarms around him. Like, you grab the rifle, now your team has a rifle and some Sheriffs, and then you start snowballing out of control. So this gun's really good. You don't want to spam it because it gets really inaccurate. What you want to do instead is just, space out your shots. Like, you don't want to spam it too much, but you still should know, like, how much you can, I shouldn't say spam, but how fast you can click. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is a really good gun. 6 shots in it.
I like Deagle in CSGO, and I was really hitting some nasty headshots with a Deagle, so I'm probably gonna use this one a lot.
Make sure that you're, like, you have good mechanics if you're going to end up using this weapon. You know what I mean? So, good weapon for 8 on credits. 950. The Stinger. Stinger costs 950. This is a little submachine gun. I don't like it. I'll be honest. As of right now in this current patch, I think that this gun isn't very good. I think you're better off just buying a Sheriff and trying to get better with your aim and stuff. This has an ADS mode that isn't the most accurate thing. And the spray itself isn't that good. Like, let me show, like, this range, like, it's extremely hard to control. Maybe if I pull down a lot. Even then, it's just not a good weapon. I would just buy a Frenzy. Like, it does almost the same thing, and you can control this a lot better. Like, this is headshot level. Like, Spectre. So this is another submachine gun. A lot more accurate, actually, than the Stinger. Can beam people from a pretty good range. So, like, it just got nerfed, but it's still pretty good. Rip off a couple shots at this range. Good weapon, 1,600 credits. This is what most teams will buy the second round if they win pistol round, or if they're saving, this is a good save weapon. The Bucky, similar to the Shorty, you want to be really up close. Obviously, damage doesn't go very far, and it has a right-click mode where it'll shoot like a slug, I think is what it's called. See what I'm saying? So if it targets a little more long range, you can, tighten the spread a little bit versus that, So yeah, this gun isn't used as much though. I still don't think this is as good as maybe a Marshall that we'll talk about in a second, or a Sheriff, or you're kind of cheaping out if you're buying a Bucky. You might as well just buy a Spectre. Judge, this is the Bucky on steroids. Yeah. If anybody walks in your crosshair, they're dead. And it has a little bit of range to it. You can do a decent amount of damage from a certain far range. It's pretty good. If you plan on playing close quarters, or like you can hide in like a smoke. Let's say, for example, you decide to smoke off B main, right? The enemies are all in there. You could like sit in here, wait for them to like come at you, and you could just pop. You can run at it and like run at them. Like, it's a really good weapon. Pretty good. Next, let's go to the Bulldog. This just got buffed. This is just like, what is it? How do I want to say this? It's a budget assault rifle. Hipfire is pretty decently accurate. ADS is pretty good too. ADS is the 3-round burst. Like I said, it's pretty accurate. This is a good budget weapon if you don't have the 900 extra credits. Like, maybe if you want to buy some extra utility instead, or full armor. I think the Bulldog is a very good weapon to buy. Especially now that they got buffed. I think it's very strong. The Guardian. This is a one-tap headshot at any range. And it is the most accurate gun in the game. ADS, again, very strong. Like, look, you see the spread on that? Super clean. Super tight. It's pretty good. What is it? Body shots do 65 damage too. So even if you're not hitting headshots, 65 damage body shot isn't anything to scoff at. So this is a pretty good gun. If you can hit head taps pretty well.
I like the Guardian. I played it yesterday a lot, and you can hit nasty things with it.
Well, at a long range, this is definitely a pretty decent weapon for you. A Phantom. Phantom and Vandal are going to be the two main weapons that you buy throughout the course of the game. I would argue to say that they are the best weapons for the game, best weapons in the game. The Phantom is your M4A1 if you play CS:GO. It has a suppressor on it, so
nice.
Oh yeah, something I forgot to mention. Suppressed guns don't have bullet tracers. Yeah, you see them on my screen, but the enemies don't see the bullet tracers. They don't know where you're shooting from. So if let's say, for example, this is smoked off, right? Let's say the enemies are coming in. I could sit here and sort of just spray, and they don't know where I'm spraying from. So that's a big plus with the Phantom. Just had to mention that real quick. But this is a higher rate of fire than the
Didn't know that about bullet tracing. Kind of nice.
Vandal. It's easier to control the recoil, so you could let off like a decent amount of shots before it gets a little too inaccurate, right? So like that's pretty decent, yeah. Phantom's pretty good. It does. You have to be careful though, because at close range it one-shot headshots, but at medium range it only does 140, and at a very far range it only does 124. So you have to keep in mind the type of duels you're taking, whether or not they have vandals or not, because there are rare occasions where you can get head tapped by a vandal, which one-shot headshots from any range, but you also headshot them, but you only did 140. So kind of annoying. The vandal, basically the Phantom's brother. It hits a little harder. Body shots with the Phantom only do like in the 30s. Vandals is all straightforward. 160 headshot any range, body shot 40 at any range. It's hard to control the recoils. You don't necessarily want to spray with this weapon. Like it's. I mean, you can kind of control it, but not really. Like if.
No, that's not entirely true. I was trying to control yesterday, and then I saw that like the first 7 or 8 shots are pretty accurate if you just pull down, and after that you go to the left and to the right, but that's not as accurate anymore. So like the first 7 shots are basically on spot.
If you're aiming for somebody's head, that's probably not what you want to do. Like maybe those 3 hit the neck, maybe those 2 might have hit the head, maybe, but like that's a little better. But you usually don't want to spray with the Vandal, only because like it's not as accurate as you think, and the enemy, you know, it's just not that good. So don't spray with the Vandal. Like I said, one-shot headshot from any range, and you do need to be careful if you're spraying through a smoke, because they can see your tracers, right? So if they see where the bullets are coming from, they're just going to spam you back. You know what I mean? So you just want to be careful with that. This gun is more like I said, if you can hit those headshots consistently, this is probably the better gun for you. Vandal's pretty good. Marshall, for 950, this thing is pretty good. It 101s anybody from any range, hits them in the body for 101, basically puts them at 1 shot, and then it 1-shot headshots from any range. And you can let off a pretty decent amount of shots off in a short period of time. So again, good players, like professional players, use the Marshall all the time because they can get headshots pretty reliably. Again, good for these long-range duels. Even the no-scope is pretty accurate, sort of, for some reason. So, like, let's say, for example, somebody's, like, here, right? Like, those are both hitting him. Like, he's dead. And this is me going as fast as I can. If somebody's in front of me, he's pretty much dead. Like, so the Marshall's pretty good, and for 101 body shot damage, it's pretty decent. And like I said, a 1-shot headshot at any range for only 150 more than the Sheriff.
I do like this gun. It's like the Scout, and I played Scout a lot in CSGO. It's one of my favorites weapon. Yeah, because it's simply a good weapon.
Marshall's pretty good right now. Operator. So this weapon is. How do I want to explain it? People complain that this weapon is overpowered, when in reality, it's just people don't really know how to play around it. So the Operator is the most expensive gun in the game, coming in at 4,700 credits, high risk, high reward type play. So let's say, for example, I'm defending, right, and I'm peeking catwalk. Usually people peek this angle, right? So I shoot, I get a kill. It's a 1-shot body shot at any range, no matter what. As long as you hit their body, they're dead. It's a laser, basically. Yeah, really good weapon, except
an AWP in CSGO.
Like I said, if you miss, you can't really. Let's say, for example, somebody's peeking, right? Like I shoot and I miss. I probably don't want to go for this repeak because their crosshairs are already trained on me. Like they're getting ready for me to repeak, and they're going to punish me for it. So what you want to do instead is like reposition. But yeah, in general, like what is it? In all, how do you say it? Like all in all, the Operator is just a very good weapon. 1-shot body shot at any range. At lower ranks, this gun is a lot harder to play around because you need to use a lot of utility to like push him out and stuff. Trying to think.
I really like that dragon skin. It's a nice skin. Maybe maybe I'll try to get it myself because yeah, but I don't play AWP that much. But it's a nice skin.
I think what else? The Operator, yeah, that's pretty much it. The Operator is really good on agents like Jet, for example, or other duelists other agents that can get out easily. So let's say, for example, I have my Operator, and I go over to Tiles is here, right? Let's say I go for a peek, and let's say I miss. I can dash away so they can't trade me out in time. You know what I mean? So that's really good. Operator Ares. Okay, so the Ares. The Ares. Right now, in this current patch, the start of Act 4, this gun is overpowered. The fire rate, there used to be a wind-up time on this, but it's not there right now. For 1,500 credits, like, you have so much ammo, 50 bullet mags. Right now, this is like the gun to buy. The spray control isn't that hard to control. Oh, something I didn't talk about that yet, but like, it is just a laser beam right now. The fire rate's really good. Damage is pretty good. It's the best bang for your buck weapon. It's only 1550, cheaper than the Spectre. The Ares right now is the go-to weapon, but keep in mind they might nerf it in the future, and I highly expect them to. So this information that I'm giving you right now might change, but as of right now, the Ares is very good. But yeah, test it out for yourself in case they have changed it since the creation of this video. Yeah, the Odin is basically, it was supposed to be the Ares on steroids, but the Odin right now isn't as popular because the Ares is just so good. They're almost the same, but one's double in price. It used to shoot a lot faster than the Ares, and it hits harder. But other than that, it's easier to control the spray, in my opinion. And you have 100 bullets per mag. So this gun's really good because something I forgot to talk about is that each gun has its own level of penetration. So the Classic has a low penetration, right? So like I'll show you. What wall could I use? I know what I could do. Okay. So I'm going to go to A site. So this wall right here, if I shoot this, nothing. You see the little indent, but it doesn't do anything. I buy a Phantom that has medium penetration. If you look at in this area where my crosshair is about to be, you see the medium pen. It goes through. If the bullets are like this, the bullet holes like this, that means it went through. If it's like this, no.
Oh, okay.
No, that didn't go through. None of that went through. But these went through. So the Odin and the Ares and the Operator and the Guardian have high penetration. So it can wallbang harder through target. It can wallbang harder. And this is since it's a higher penetration, it does more damage through the wall. And this is really important for things like, let's say, for example, we go back over to B main. For some reason, this wall right here that separates the spawn barrier to attackers and defenders is very wallbangable. So when the barrier drops, you're getting melted by an Odin. So that's what penetrations do. And each wall, like every wall has like its own wallbang, right? So like if somebody's standing in this corner, I can't really see him.
I will try to wallbang like that, or maybe I will train to wallbang specific spots, because that's really interesting that you can wallbang right there. That's a good tip. I'm glad that I watched this video because now I know a really nice spot.
That would kill him because he gets melted through the wall. And you can do that with rifles too. So like if somebody's standing like here, you know, and you don't want to swing them, but you go wallbang them right there. Granted, this has a shield, so but you get what I'm saying. Each gun has its own level of penetration, and the penetration matters because if you have to, hit somebody through a certain wall for a certain amount of damage,
okay, I understand.
The level of penetration of your gun really matters.
That's also a really nice video. How to learn Valorant.
I played Fortnite, and yeah, that's it. Before Fortnite, I didn't even have a PC. So compared to other people, I'm pretty new to FPS titles. But I've been playing Valorant religiously for about 2 years, and I've learned a lot ever since. I've been on countless teams, played in countless tourneys, scrimmed constantly, I played in LANs as well, and I hit Immortal 3 act after act. So it's safe to say I have a decent amount of experience. But what if I had to do it all again? How would I go about learning everything I know now, but more efficiently? So in this video, we'll be talking about how I would learn Valorant if I had to start over. So let's get started. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I'm a Sentinel main, and I started with Cypher. I would spend countless hours looking up setup videos, one-way cages, crazy camera spots, but I really never focused on my raw mechanics and fundamentals. Look at this clip from one of my old streams, and just focus on how I'm moving my mouse. It's horrible.
Imagine you actually won this.
Don't have to imagine it, baby.
If you win this, we'll give you an extra game.
I have retrieved the spike.
That is too funny, bro.
That momentum was so funny.
This obsession with setups created awful habits in my playstyles. What would happen is that I would have these crazy setups that I would use as a crutch to win me rounds. Sort of how like Killjoy mains usually rely on their turret to swing off of and get free picks. So if the enemy team didn't go into my setup, oh well, I was basically useless. Or if the enemy team had a Raze or Skye or Sova, I would just lose. Raze would blast pack across sight, Skye would use her Trailblazer, or Sova would just use a Shock Darts, and all of these things would just ruin my setups. I was so in love with these nerdy traps that I never learned how to actually play the game. Here, let me explain it a bit better. So learning how to play Valorant is sort of like building a house. Every well-built house needs a good foundation. Without one, the house is just gonna collapse. The foundation in this game would be things like crosshair placement and movement. I mean, you could debate some other things, but I believe with mastery of those two fundamentals, you can go to almost any rank that you want. Now, once that you have a good foundation, you start to work on the frame of your house. This would include things like communication and game sense. Then, once you have that frame, you start adding things on like the roof, floor, and walls. These things would be like utility usage, map knowledge, or pathing, how to clutch. And there you go, now you have your house. It's big and sturdy, your fundamentals are solid, and now it's time to fill your house with stuff. But this is where your furniture goes. This is where those lineups and setups and agent knowledge comes in. But once you have a nice house, then you can fill it with whatever you want. Sova arrows from across the map? Yeah, sure. Viper snakebite lineups from 50 different spots? Yeah, go for it. Cypher cams that allow you to see from Haven to Bind? Yeah, go for it. My point here is that I wasted a lot of time filling my crappy house with a bunch of nice furniture. But you'll rank up faster and understand the game much quicker if you just focus on those things that I mentioned. Make sure you have a good foundation and base understanding of the game before you start worrying about the extras. So what is the best way to go about learning things like crosshair placement or game sense? Well, believe it or not, there are a ton of resources all around you. The problem is that people are too unaware or lazy to reach out to them. What I did when I first started was ask a complete random Radiant stranger to coach me, and I got lucky. My coach, now my friend to this day, his name is Snoopy, and he helped me get to where I am today. We queue sometimes and still talk on a regular basis, but not everyone is going to find their own Snoopy. And this is why I love my job at SkullCaps. No, this isn't supposed to be an ad, but we do have courses, guides, and commentaries on literally anything that you need. And the website looks like it's a college class or course or something. It's professional. We have Radiant commentaries where Radiants literally explain their thoughts.
Okay, that's just a lot of rambling in it. Don't wanna look down. Okay, different mouse grips to try. Let's see that one.
Hey everyone, it's Dr.
I do understand, like, there's a claw and there's a palm grip and stuff like that. That's probably the same as in CSGO. Not a much of difference, I believe.
Zor here, and welcome to another SkullCap guide. In this video, we're going to be reviewing can be crucial to and how to identify the best
that's what I was
you to use
talking
to
about.
aim like a Radiant player. First up, let's review some of the basics on how you should be holding your mouse. In order to ensure that you can shoot and react as fast as possible, regardless of what grip you use, make sure your fingers are on the mouse buttons themselves. There are some players who like to keep their fingers raised up off the buttons, and this increases the distance that your finger has to travel in order to perform a click, thus taking longer for you to fire a shot. It's a difference of milliseconds, but in a fast moving game like Valorant, those milliseconds can be the difference between life or death. Along with that, make sure that the palm of your hand is making contact with the mouse pad. Now you may be thinking that having the palm here is going to increase the friction that you have to deal with, and so some players believe it's better to raise the palm up so it's floating in the air and you're able to move more freely. While this may be true, the issue that arises is that you'll have to potentially change your grip to something more uncomfortable and less optimal in order to put your palm up, or you may end up getting more muscle fatigue as you're actively trying to prevent your palm from touching the mouse pad.
Yeah, that's basically, I do understand that. It's nothing new.
If you don't know, take a look at the mouse size. We can now move on to click in rapid succession, which could be useful when you're trying to use weapons such as the pistol in Valorant that require you to make those quick clicks. Along with that, the palm grip can be tougher to make those micro adjustments to your aim. You're going to have to rely more on your wrist for these small tweaks and have less ability to use your fingers. This isn't as apparent when you're adjusting your aim side to side, but going up and down will be tougher to do without full utilization of your fingers. Players that are using a large mouse will likely use a palm grip like we just mentioned, as the other grips make it harder for them to get to the mouse clicks. However, there are still a fair number of players that use the palm grip as well on a medium-sized mouse. Next up is the fingertip grip. This is usually the second most popular grip that players use. With the fingertip grip, only the tips of your fingers are on the mouse as well as a portion of your palm. This is usually a potential doesn't provide. With a claw grip, you can move your mouse downwards just like you can with the fingertips, but since the fingers are more bent, you have more room to also move the fingers upward. This extra finger maneuverability, along with using your wrist, elbow, and shoulder together, will really maximize all the options you have to make those micro adjustments or macro adjustments to your aim.
Okay,
the biggest con with this grip though is that it can be very fatiguing. You constantly have to keep your finger flexion muscles contracted in order to maintain this grip style, and that constant aggressive contraction can potentially tire you out and stiffen up the fingers and wrists the longer you play. With the claw grip, you'll really have to weigh the pros and cons to determine if it's the right grip for you. Along with that, you may steer more towards the claw grip if you have a smaller mouse where it can be tougher to hold it with the palm or the fingertip grip. With the claw grip being said, we have now reviewed the 3 most common grips that people...
Yeah, okay, that's nothing new to me. How to set your sensitivity, I don't need that, I have figured it out myself. Press crosshairs, that might be interesting. I do have a nice crosshair, I would say, but let's see.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Skillcapped. I'm the King Live, and today we're going to be breaking down everything you need to know about crosshairs in Valorant to make sure that you can have every edge you possibly can in the game. Tons of pros use different crosshairs, but a lot of them use the same crosshair, and it's for an important reason. For the most part, your crosshair you use is up to you. It really comes down to personal preference. However, most of the crosshairs that the pros use tend to be fairly similar, and there's a few reasons for that, and we'll get into them today.
Okay,
remember, your crosshair is supposed to be a tool used to help you aim better. That is why it's important to have it tuned personally towards your needs. And if you're a player who is still looking to improve their mechanics, we have some really awesome crosshairs just for you later in this video, so be sure to stick with us as we get into it. Before we do though, let's introduce our question of the day, which is naturally, what crosshair are you using in Valorant right now? I'll talk a bit about the one that I'm using later in the video, but of course, followed by this becomes a lot less common. The more you play the game, the more you develop a sense of where your crosshair is on your screen, and it becomes a bit more difficult to lose track of it. The game really becomes less about looking at your crosshair and more about looking at your target and using your muscle memory to land your shots instead. However, with that being said, many pros who run white crosshairs also use outlines at the same time, making it so even on backgrounds where the white blends in, the black outlines may stand out more. If you decide to use a crosshair that can be difficult to see at times, I highly suggest using an outline to make it just a little bit easier on you. This is likely part of the reason white is so common. Since white and black are complete opposites, on parts of the map where white blends in, the black should definitely stand out. One thing I want to mention as well is you may have noticed I haven't given you any specific crosshair settings yet. And don't worry, we'll give you a bunch of specific pro settings at the end of the video. However, I really want to encourage you to experiment with your own crosshair and find things that feel comfortable for you. Just because your favorite pro uses a crosshair doesn't mean it will be the most comfortable for you. And that's why I took the time to compile what is common among most pros so that you can make the best judgments based on yourself. Anyway though, moving on to the most common crosshair you'll generally see among pros, and this actually comes in 2 variations. The first one is the 1-4-2-2 crosshair. For most players who don't know, the numbers here are going to refer to the inner lines, opacity, length, thickness, and offset in that order. Sometimes pros will mess around with outer lines, but for the most part, every single professional Valorant player uses a static crosshair with no firing error, no movement error, and most of them do not have a center dot. This means that those 4 numbers are most of the time all that you need to be able to copy a pro player's settings, which is really nice for convenience when switching between your favorite crosshair.
Okay, that's good. Maybe I'll try to do that right now. No. I didn't get that. What was the
crosshair? For most players who don't know, the numbers here are going to refer to the inner lines, opacity, length, thickness, and offset in that order.
Inner lines, opacity, length, thickness. Okay, we can do that. I hope that my mouse is not going to disappear again. That would be unfortunate. Thank you. Now I have my mouse. Okay. One, 4 was it? Okay. I set my crosshair right, so let's repetition or see how the crossband looks in the game. Okay, I don't like it. It seems too small actually, probably because I play on 4K. Yeah, so let's see what we can do. I need a bit outline. Yeah, probably I need 2 or 3. No, it's still just a dot. I'm not sure why this is like that. I see. Probably something like that. Movement error off and firing error off. I heard about that. Okay, let me see. That looks better. But it's like a very, very small. I still like it though. Why is my video black? I'm sorry about that, guys. Oh. Can you see my video actually? Yeah, but it's somehow pretty laggy. Maybe it's because I'm streaming to YouTube as well, and maybe I should stop doing that. So how can I stop streaming to YouTube? Yeah, I see skipped frames. I understand that. That's unfortunate. I can imagine that the CPU usage is pretty low. But we're still skipping frames, right?